There you go. So hello, everyone. Welcome again to this Zoom chat at Montefiore Nyack Hospital. Our guest today is Sarah Mark from Diabetes Sisters. This is a terrific program that helps women with diabetes. I don't even know, because it's so many ways that you can help women with diabetes. So I'm going to let Sarah introduce the program. But thank you once again for being here. So Sarah, go ahead. And thanks for being here.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone who is joining us today. And definitely thank you to Montefiore Hospital as well, and the clinic. And I'm just really happy to be here again. Be here virtually. Have not been there in person yet, but we'll work on that in the future to come. So I'm thrilled to be with you today. I am a woman who has lived with diabetes for 40 years now, and have used personally an insulin pump for more than 35 years, continuous glucose monitor for 10 or more years. I did about 3 years with a do-it-yourself open source automated loop system with a pump and CGM. And I've been a part of what's called the Diabetes Online community on social media for about 10 years now. And I've worked for Diabetes Sisters for about 5. So I have an actual slide with a little more information about us, but there are 3 of us staff who work remotely, and we always have. Well, I should say I always have in my position. We were founded in North Carolina and had an office there right at the beginning in 2008, 2009. But for about the last 6 years, our staff, myself, I'm located in Fort Collins, Colorado, and our CEO lives outside of Chicago, and we have one other staff person who lives in Connecticut. So, and then we have about 60 or more volunteers located around the country. So that is a little bit about who Diabetes Sisters is, and we'll see a little bit more in the coming slides. Sandra, do you want me to go ahead with that or stop?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay.
And just a reminder to our attendees that, you know, if you have any questions for Sarah, please write them down. We'll be taking as many questions as possible in the next hour. So we have until 1 p.m. to ask all the questions in the world. So yeah, go ahead. Thanks, Sarah.
All right, great. Well, give me just a moment and we will get this going with my screen. So, hang on. There we go. Can everyone see that? Sandra, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see it?
I can hear you and I'm listening to you. So everything great so far. I know we're all hesitant and we're just talking about this like, oh my God, you know, even though I do this every week, I'm still nervous because something might go wrong. But you're fine.
Okay, great. So this is a little bit about, and I'm happy to share these so you don't feel like you have to read it all or take note of it all right away. But this is a really important piece just about why Diabetes Sisters exists and how we came to be and the reality of what women with any type of diabetes are living with every single day, 24 hours a day. So there are more than 40 factors on this list here from our friends at Diatribe about all of the different factors that can affect our blood glucose. And there are actually even more that aren't on here. So, you know, these talk about food factors, medications, activity, biological factors, environmental, and what they call behavior and decisions. I would say that all of these 40 or 42 factors that they have listed are decisions, or they impact, decisions that we're making all the time. So for anyone with diabetes, management can include anywhere from 180 to upwards to 300 decisions every day. And yeah, even more that aren't listed on here involve emotional and mental health support. So that gets into even a little more about what Diabetes Sisters and our peer support meetings are about. They're about shared common experiences, whether those are emotional or mental health, or practical kind of, how do I do this, how does this work, when I did this, this happened with my blood sugar or my diabetes. And peer support isn't medical advice or traditional kind of health education or diabetes education found in a clinical setting. It has to do with really listening to each other's experiences, and sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes it isn't trying to solve anyone's problem for them, although at other times it's a whole room or group of women saying, well, when that happened to me, this is what I did, and these are the pros and cons, or the good or bad things that I thought about the consequences. And then the person who originally shared the issue or the experience can sift through those, process more, talk with the women who shared what they did, and see if there's anything that they want to take into their own experience in their own life with diabetes. So I like to read these types of comments out loud because I think they're just so powerful. There's something incredibly powerful about hearing someone else say, me too. That happened to me too. I go through that and I know what that's like. So that same type of thing happened to me too. And asking, so what was your experience like? I've faced the same thing. These are things that I did. We know what it's like. Having someone say that and mean it and have that experience is just really powerful and really important. And acknowledging that it's so hard. It can be so hard to live with this. It can be so hard to live well, quote unquote, with diabetes. It's a lot of work. If any of us do all of the things that we are supposed to be doing, it is a 24/7 job in and of itself. So having someone in the same experience say, you know what, you can take a break from thinking about that or worrying about that or feeling like you have to make a decision right now. Let's take 15 minutes, an hour, whatever amount of time, and let's just talk about something else or do something else or listen to someone else on another topic. Like, you don't have to fix it right this second. And you can do this. Both the I've been here too and you can do this. It's totally possible. It might be hard, but we're all here with you. You can keep doing this because it doesn't go away. It doesn't alleviate. And we'll be here next month. So, for our peer support groups, which are a really important part of what Diabetes Sisters is, it's how we were founded and what we are about, is we'll be here. So, we can talk about it next month, or you can just come back and you don't have to talk about it next month. Like, there's no requirements for any of that. What we do require, which is pretty simple, is confidentiality, and everything Diabetes Sisters does or offers is free. So it's free or voluntary. It's not, required in order to get any other type of service, because we aren't we aren't a hospital or a clinic or a health service. We are peer support. So that's a really important thing about the groups themselves and the peer support meetings, is that they are led by volunteers who may be located, wherever. When we are meeting in person, they of course are located in the community, in the locale, but everything that we are doing currently, at least until July of this year at this time, is online. So everything is virtual. We have about, I want to say 30 or 35 groups that are usually in person, different locations getting together, and those are all almost all are operating on online platform, Zoom. We do have 2 or 3 that are using conference calls because their members just don't want to use the computer, but that's fine. So they meet on the phone. And this group here is actually not a specific PODS meetup, although they are a health ministry group in a Baptist church in Silver Spring, Maryland. And they got together for a specific event that we did, something called our Multicultural Initiative. And that of course, was pre-COVID, but so they are not exactly a PODS meetup group, but they're an incredible group of women that I've actually gotten to meet and see in person a couple of times. So I like that picture. And this is another picture. These are all actually peer support leaders. We call them PODS leaders, part of Diabetes Sisters, from all kinds of locations. Let's see, Colorado, Massachusetts, New York State, upstate New York, several, Texas, and North Carolina too. So this was taken at Leadership Institute, which we've had for the last 6 years, and we will be having our 7th this fall. Last year we did it all virtually online, and it went off really well. We have not said or decided set yet how our Leadership Institute will be this year, but we're monitoring that, and we'll be deciding in the next month or 2. So at any rate, it will take place either in person or virtually again. And it's really incredible, 2 to 3 days of sessions about leadership and peer support, facilitating meetings, as well as different diabetes topics, news and current kind of trending information that women with diabetes want to know about. So a little bit about Diabetes Sisters here. We're a national nonprofit organization, and our whole mission is improving health and quality of life for women, adult women, 18 and older, living with diabetes, any type of diabetes, and every type, I should say, also, including pre-diabetes. So that is who constitutes our meetings. And like I said, the leaders are volunteers. We have training and materials for them when they go through the process of becoming a volunteer and agree to facilitate meetings and promote them and get more members, or get members for the group. Of course, they do not have to be, and they are not medical healthcare providers or diabetes educators or whatnot. We do have a few who are, because they happen to be women living with diabetes, and then of course their professional life is also the healthcare, but that is not required at all. And actually we make sure to be very clear around peer support doesn't require that. But, women who have diabetes of whatever type and are a healthcare professional need peer support too. So it's actually, wonderful, the women who kind of hold both of those roles. And we're just trying to create an open, respectful, welcoming space for adult women with any type of diabetes to get together and find that peer support. Just a little bit about other types of programs we have. Like I said, the PODS meetups are the huge kind of signature piece of us. The Minority Initiative or Multicultural Initiative is events, and last year they were online or virtual as well, but we had some wonderful videos and resources on different topics, diabetes related topics for African American women, Hispanic, Latina women, and South Asian women as well, with guest speakers who are or who may be professionals of various sorts who have expertise to share on those topics. Leadership Institute. On the right-hand side of that slide, it talks about our web and online resources, which we really put a lot of time and energy into to make so much information and support available for women through our website and newsletter and our social media. And this is a photo I just absolutely love from our Leadership Institute last fall. So these are all, well, along with me and our staff, women, again, in Massachusetts, Nevada, let's see where else, Washington, D.C. area, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina again, Illinois, Virginia, Providence, Rhode Island, upstate New York again. Yeah, so tons of leaders of the groups. And like I said, oh, and Ohio and Georgia. Yeah. And this is just a little bit about the meetings themselves. When they're in person, they may go up to 2 hours at a time. You know, if there's 15 or 20 women in the group and everybody's feeling talkative, then yeah, stuff can go on. Since we've been meeting online, they've been more like 60 to 90 minutes, which is all fine. And we just want to give the space and the opportunity for women to have that support. So their group meetings or discussion, we have monthly themes or topics, and then Diabetes Sisters provides what we call modules, which are like an agenda, kind of an outline, current updated information on whatever topic, whether that's you know, making an emergency plan, putting together like all of your treatment plan information all in one place. We have like handouts where they can do that for both diabetes and anything else. Cooking, eating healthfully. We have some women who, you know, they're members and they themselves like to share recipes and like to, we've had a couple even do with the online, you know, not exactly a cooking class, but like a cooking experience together where they're all cooking together at the same time and they decide what they're going to make. We've also had ones talk about diabetes distress, diabetes stigma, you know, mental health things like depression or diabetes distress and what that's like for them, and also what it's been like, you know, whether they've you know, wanted or tried to, you know, go see a professional or talk to a counselor or do something online. So there's really a lot of different topics that groups talk about. We also have done diabetes and heart health, diabetes and kidney health. We have some members who live with all of those things at the same time. We have members who have had you know, transplants or who are going through different types of treatments that may share about their own experiences with that. And we also have, you know, topics or time when women want to and do talk about like what they're doing as far as their blood sugar monitoring. If they use a meter, you know, talk about different kinds, what everybody does use. If they have a continuous glucose monitor, like how that's worked for them, what's been challenging. A lot of times, you know, challenges come up because this is a space where we can talk about those. So, and what everybody else has done when they've faced those challenges as well. So yeah, time for both kind of structured discussion, and as well, we always leave time for all of the members to talk about whatever's going on with their diabetes life and whatever they want to share. So like I said, it's confidential, and we remind them, leaders remind everybody of that at every time. Respectful and friendly, and sharing both the resources that we are creating through Diabetes Sisters for them, and also the good stuff that we find, for instance, from Diatribe, or, you know, a host of other places that we can get great, useful things. So yeah, I think, oh, and that's just a little bit about me. But anyway, so yeah, that's the presentation part, and I'm happy to stop the sharing there. So yeah, we can do questions or whatever you like, Sandra.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. And you actually answered a few of my questions while you were talking. But
Sure.
at this point, please, if you have any questions, please just use the Q&A box or chat box, and I'll be happy to read it to Sarah. So, Sarah, here is a question that I have. So, women are usually busy. Like you just said it, like there are like 300 decisions that you have to make just because of the fact that you are a person living with diabetes. Leave alone all the other decisions that you have to make, day after day, just for being a woman, as a mother, as a professional, as, a housewife, or just even if you're in the house, there's so many things that you have to do.
Yeah.
How do women find time to join Diabetes Sisters?
Yeah. That's an excellent question. And I think a couple of things. So to join, or to say, like, we use the word member to talk about all of the women who engage with us in any number of different ways, especially through the monthly groups. But you don't have to jump in and attend. The meetings are once a month generally, unless we have one or two groups who meet every couple weeks. That's because the members want to. So generally it's once a month. And we ask leaders to commit to leading about 10 meetings a year. So we know that, of course, some months just can't happen. Like, it just won't, there's no time for it. But at the same time, so once a month for, an hour or 2 hours at the most, we offer that so that women can join it, right? So it's there for them. And it does take sometimes, some planning. It does take some, okay, I'm actually going to carve this time out and go, pre-COVID and after COVID, go to, drive somewhere to wherever the meeting is, or turn on my phone or computer these days and be a part of it. In addition to that, though, is all of the online, which is there, almost all the time. And most of our pods meetup groups have their own specific Facebook group, and that's the only one that they're using right at the moment, platform. But where those members, only women who have been to a meeting, so like everybody knows everybody in that Facebook group, are there, and they chat and talk about things at any time, day or night. So that's a really nice thing in between the meetings. And also, most of the peer support meetings, everyone has each other's phone number, each other's email. They might be texting, emailing, whatever, to support each other in between. It's absolutely incredible to have someone that that I can text or email at any time of day and be like, this just happened, like, oh my God, you know, whatever it is. And be able to have someone be like, yeah, I get that. It's happened to me too. Here's what I did, or here's what, you know, whether it's, you know, my kid needed to be somewhere and I needed to be with them, and my blood sugar's low or my blood sugar's high and I need to go to a job interview or to something important for work and I feel like crap. Or, you know, I couldn't get the thing that I wanted from the grocery store during COVID because of, you know, they didn't have it or I couldn't get to it. Like, what are y'all doing about this whatever issue? Or sometimes it's just, you know what, diabetes is just really sucking today. Like, anybody else out there feeling that? And to be able to hear from, you know, one or multiple saying, yeah, I get that. And just be with that for a bit is helpful, really helpful sometimes, especially. So that's what I would say. It's we acknowledge being an organization for women, that we know what everybody's got going on. It's a lot, and this is a relief from some of that. Can't take away all the issues with diabetes, but we can offer some support to help get through it.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, we're living in a virtual world right now due to COVID. But when you have the meetings in person, do you provide babysitting or transportation? Like, is there any way how you help women attend the meetings as well?
You know, like Diabetes Sisters as a national organization helps the local volunteer leaders kind of on the ground, when we're able to be in person, figure out what that looks like. So we do have some meetings, one of the ones in Nevada, I think, and one in North Carolina, where they have decided to, or they know that the members, you know, either can't drive or don't want to because of nighttime, or for whatever reason haven't been able to do that, to get to an in-person meeting. And actually also these days, or no, I should say, it was pre-COVID, but we had some that would call or use a computer to get like one person able to be with the meeting when the rest of them were in person. So a little bit of that was going on, even pre-COVID as well. Just kind of acknowledging, I mean, definitely acknowledging that, you know, women have some different abilities or capabilities to get places. We have not, I don't think, had any providing childcare or doing that, but that's definitely something that we can take a look at and, you know, help think through kind of on the ground as far as, you know, these women are women who would like to come, but this is what's going on with childcare for them. So yeah, it's more really looking at what's happening locally and what those members need and how that can happen.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm thinking, you kind of told us about the structure of the group, that, you know, in the beginning you have more like an information session, then like a Q&A session, then it's kind of like, I'll call it networking, I guess you call it supporting. But what about any fun events or celebrations? Do you celebrate birthdays or Mother's Day or Christmas, you know, things like that too?
Yeah. Let's see. It kind of, I'm thinking of all sorts of things happening in in different locations of meetings. we again, it depends on what the group likes, so and what the members want and do themselves. So event wise, we, again, when we're meeting in person, have had different like social events, some kind of more end of, well, for lack of, kind of beginning of summer or through summer, groups might have picnics or they might have things separate from their official meeting, because that is still needs to be what it is, which is women with diabetes. But they may have different additional events where they bring spouses or partners or kids, or have picnics and outdoor kind of games. Lots of the groups have some type of like winter holiday party, and I wouldn't say that they're all Christmas, because our members, you know, celebrate or don't celebrate like all sorts of different things, but some type of like winter celebration party kind of thing in December or January. So it could be, you know, New Year's plus Christmas plus Hanukkah plus Kwanzaa, like it could be, it can be and has been like all sorts of those things, but really celebrating each other and celebrating, you know, another calendar year. We informally, and I think, again, this, not everybody does this, but some people and women with diabetes celebrate their, some call it a diaversary, diabetes anniversary of their diagnosis date. And so for some groups and some members, if that's important, they'll do that. I, for one, especially once, like I had never thought about it, and then I thought, I saw some people talking about it on social media, probably before I had lived with diabetes for like 25 years was coming up for me. It wasn't quite there yet, but, and I was like, it was really interesting question to think about, celebrating this day that your entire life changes, if that's how it happens for you. You know, for others, they might kind of see it coming for a while, but you know, when you sit in the office with the doctor and get that information, and it took me a while to think through that and be like, you know what, this is about celebrating. For instance, for me last year was 40 years of living with this and living this way, and really celebrating doing that and the ability to do that, and celebrating others' ability to do that. Like, I think it's a wonderful thing now. It didn't initially maybe feel exactly that way, but now I'm just all about it. Like, we celebrate kind of everything, the little things and the big things, because they're really important.
Mhm. And you're talking a lot about leaders, and I understand we need a leader per region in order to organize the groups, correct? And
Yeah.
you know, recently we started a Diabetes Sisters group in the South Bronx that is part of Montefiore, is one of the clinics of Montefiore, and we're hoping to start one here in Nyack. But tell us about that leadership piece. Like, what kind of people are you looking for to become a leader to start a group, let's say here in Nyack?
Yeah. Um, oh, that makes me so excited to think about. That's a wonderful, wonderful question. So if there is anyone on the participant list right now who's thinking about maybe wanting to do it, I mean, the qualifications or requirements are, you know, an adult woman living with any type of diabetes. So there's no limitations on that. And we really love striving for and trying to have, you know, as many type 2 as type 1, and really working, because communicating among the different types of diabetes is important too. Yes, there are some differences, but there are so many similarities. especially among the stress and the challenges around taking care of our diabetes and taking care of ourselves as women with diabetes. In addition, I would say someone who knows kind of who knows what's going on with their community, with women living with diabetes. They either, know women at church, they know women from different groups, or parents of, their kids' friends, or from work. I mean, from anywhere, but they kind of have their feelers out, and they sort of know where they could talk to, provide information for, really, like, we call it, we say recruit, but that sounds so formal. Really, it's just like, oh, I see you're checking your blood sugar, or I know that my mom said that you might have been dealing with this, would you want to be part of a group, or just attend a first group? I mean, that can be, there's no there's no need for the members themselves. For leaders, we do ask for, a commitment of at least a year moving forward, so that we can kind of get a group established. But for members, it's like, just check it out. Just come, see what you think, and give yourself some space to deal with this stuff with others who get it. So I would say that. And then, really, it's like, maybe anywhere well, and I should say, leaders spend different amounts of time. Some leaders spend a whole lot of time on their group and leading their group, and others, not as much as that. I would say probably 5-6 hours a month is a good way of thinking about how much time it might take, especially at first. But definitely excuse me, definitely women who aren't afraid to, communicate and speak with others about a diabetes group, right? So if someone doesn't feel comfortable doing that, then they might not want to try to start a group right now. But that, and someone who's comfortable and feels good about facilitating a group. Sometimes you have to kind of encourage some women to talk. Sometimes you have to kind of, okay, thank you, that was great, now let's hear from some other women who are here. Got to kind of keep it going as far as how much time. And just as kind of a little example, we do for the space just where or the time where members can just share about whatever. We have often had, well, back in the day, some time ago, had used the little time clocks, from a game or something, the hourglass, that's what I mean, but for like a minute or for like a minute or two. And so folks knew how much time they had. Nowadays it's just a phone timer, but but it still works. It's like, and we have done that like on virtual pods meetups as well. It's like, okay, I'm setting the timer, you can go, but it's gonna be and so everybody gets 3 minutes or what have you, and that's okay. And you know what, we've also had some members, they don't want to fill up that time, or they don't feel like they want to speak for 3 minutes, and they still get that time. Like, you sit there and just, you have, like, that's yours. That's your time. If you want to say something about your diabetes, that's awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. But it's really time and space for us.
And Sarah, like, I know you're a non-for-profit, but I mean, you're gonna have to have some funds. So how much does it cost to organize a new group? Or how do you offset costs? And
Yep. So we have been really lucky the last 4 or 5 years to have some funding specifically set aside, and that amount, for this year is 200, I think it's $250 per group. And that can be for, again, when we're meeting in person, things like making photocopies of a handout for something. Although I or our other staff actually also do mailings to all PODS leaders of various resources or handouts a few times a year. So there's that. But in case it takes some funding for that, we don't have a lot of groups that go through the process of like purchasing water or drinks or snacks, but we do have a few that do sometimes for the in-person group meetings, and so they can have funding for that as well. Often what groups have used that funding for has been either some of them call it like a their diabetes sisters book club, and their group has decided either they all want to read one of the same book, and we have purchased those books for them out of that funding, or they decide they want to have kind of a lending library sort of thing, with one copy of each of certain books that the PODS leader has, and then the members can borrow it, read it, talk about it, present about it, some of them. So we've done that. Back before, again, when things were in person and different diabetes conferences would come, if they were reasonable, not very expensive, 5 or 10 or more members of a group would go to that diabetes conference, and we would provide the funding for that. Luckily, there's been a few that have been like really reasonable, so we've been able to fund like a group of 5 or 10 women to go, and then they go to that together, and then they meet afterwards and talk about what they learned and what they liked. So
yeah, and it's a good opportunity for bonding as well, right? Like,
yeah,
spending time outside and doing things that you like together.
Yeah.
That is great.
And I should say
Why?
too, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. One other thing, and we haven't had too many groups need this kind of funding, but we have had a few that needed to pay a fee for the location, again, in person where they were meeting. Most of the groups, and like I say, across the country, meet in places that don't charge, which is absolutely wonderful. And places like, some of them are public libraries, which can be a really awesome place to meet, because they're usually in a place that's easy for a lot of women to get to. They're on like public transportation routes. That works really well. And those are most often free of charge. We have several that meet in churches or synagogue, and they haven't had to pay, but we have had 1 or 2 that actually did have to pay for that location that was in a church. We have others that meet at different community rooms, like in a school or in a there's a community room in like a shopping area in I think that one's in Richmond, Virginia, and that one's free of charge. So and we have a couple that meet in the leader's home, and that actually was how it started, was most of the meetings in women's homes, but that's kind of shifted over the years. So now we're more to public places when, again, we can meet in public places safely again.
Mm-hmm. And what does it take to become a leader? How do I become a leader?
Yes, so we have an application on our website that's just a link. You go there and you just click or type in it, and it goes to me. And then we have a phone or computer interview time, and we ask for a personal reference as well. It doesn't have to be a professional reference because, again, it's a volunteer position, but a reference. And so we talk and we tell you all about what's involved and more than today even. And we also ask for women who are getting ready to or wanting to lead a group to attend, sometimes between 1 and 3 virtual groups and virtual pods meetups, so they can see what it's like virtually, which these days is everybody. I should say that we have had since years before the pandemic too, a virtual meetup with members that sign in. It's a regular meetup in terms of what they talk about and how it works. It's just always been online. And we have women from around the country calling in and participating in that every month. So that'll always be going even when we can meet in person again. So yeah, we have the prospective leaders attend and participate and see how it goes, and then we work with them about promoting and finding women who want to get together to do this.
Well, we only have a few minutes left, so at this point, I really want to encourage our attendees. If you have any questions for Sarah, just write in the chat or the Q&A box. I have another question for you, Sarah. Why only women? I mean, there are also men who suffer from diabetes, so why the idea of just making it for sisters?
Right. Yes, most definitely. There are men with diabetes as well, and we know, and we love many of them, right? The thing is that when our original founder was thinking about and decided to start this, and still, we are the only group for women with diabetes, and we know, again, from all of our experience, that it's not only so much of what we have to do every day and a part of our lives, but it's hard to find support. There isn't another place where other women are getting together to talk about this and to share and support each other. So it's really taking a moment, taking an important moment to say, I'm worth this, I need this, I live with diabetes, and it's not easy. And to know that it's so worthwhile, it's worth so much, and that each one of us is worth it.
Sarah, I'm thinking about an idea here, and I don't know if this is something that you are already doing, but taking advantage of this virtuality we're all living in. We don't have a group of diabetes sisters here in Nyack. Probably the closest one is the South Bronx. Would it be possible for sisters who are interested to join a virtual meeting from another location? You've mentioned so many different states. So would it be possible, let's say, that I join an Orlando meeting or something, see how I feel, and maybe keep joining that while I either find one here or one is funded, or I might end up just, making my own meeting, closer to home.
Yep. I think that's definitely a possibility, and I think it is happening a little bit as we've been doing this, and as we speak, as we're moving forward with it too. So, and for instance, even like right now, and I'll just say this, and not that it has to happen, but if Nyack and South Bronx wanted to do one together and virtually, and you know, that's just one option. But
Yeah.
yes, definitely in these times where, you know, we have a calendar with all of our upcoming meetings in all the different states, but they're all happen. So really these days that's about time zones. Right. Just have to figure out like what time you want to join, but where you can see all of those. And yeah, that's possible. And I can send you, Sandra, the link for leaders, and we also have a link for anyone who's interested in joining a meeting. And so any of your you know, women that you see or that you know about who, you know, might just want to let us know that they're interested, then we can match them up if they want to be with a local one or one in, you know, Miami or South Texas or whatever. Yeah.
Now you have a page, right? Like a web page where we can access this information. Do you
Yep.
want to use the chat box to write the name of the web page?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Babysisters.org. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we're looking if we are interested in joining a meeting or learning more about it or how to become a leader. We go to babysisters.org and hopefully we'll have one pretty soon here
Yes.
in Rockland County.
And you know what? Let me I am just going to find those other couple links and I'll put those in the chat right now.
That'll be very helpful. You know, I think that not just diabetes, but living with any type of disease sometimes makes us feel so isolated. Like, you know, we are alone in the world suffering from something that is like a punishment. And it doesn't have to be. And especially, you know, where we're joined by other people going through the same thing, it normalizes things for us. Like it's not just me, it's not my punishment, my problem. You know, it's a lot of people going through a lot these days, and it's good to know that there are organizations like Diabetes Sisters that are helping people, mainly women, because we don't think about ourselves often, you know, with diabetes that are doing such wonderful things. So yes, I see the links coming. So that's really good.
Yeah, and they're
Okay.
kind of long, but the one says leader, and I think the other one says interest. So if someone is interested just in finding out more.
Yeah. And not for nothing, I know a lot of people with diabetes, being a certified diabetes educator myself, and they're usually very nice. So I would like to join such a group because, you know, usually it's down to earth people, you know, caring, loving, and it sounds great. Well, I think we ran out of time, believe it or not. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Sarah, for
Yes,
being here.
thank you.
We'll keep chatting because I can't wait to have a Diabetes Sisters coming out of Rockland County very soon.
Yes.
Okay. And thank you to all of our attendees for once again sharing an hour
Yes.
of your time a week with us. And next week, next week, the topic, we're going to have a registered dietitian talking on how to drink water. Because I'm not a water
Good.
fan.
Good.
Probably there are a lot of people and children, especially, who don't like to drink water. So she's going to be sharing with us like a few tips on how to increase our liquid intake and why is that important. So join us next week, 12 p.m. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, everyone. Have
Thank
a nice
you.
rest of the day.
Take
Bye.
care.